This is Seahawks Stories, 50th Season Edition, presented by Emerald City Athletics.
Hi again, everybody, and it's great to be with you on the Seahawks Stories 50th Season Edition, along with the one and only Paul Moyer, who has been at just about as many jobs as I have over the years with this organization, both as a player, coach, broadcaster, and now just a guy that sort of hangs around for pre- and post-game because he's got way more money and he doesn't need us anymore. Just a reminder that we are broadcasting from the Seahawks podcast studio presented by Sony, an official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. Paul, how are you, my friend?
I'm well.
Yes, sir.
It's interesting to have you and I doing this, mainly because we've been through this. You go back a few years before me, my first year, 83. But I think one of the beauties about the 50th anniversary, the 50th year of the Seahawks is, man, there's a lot of great stories. Yeah. There's a lot of great memories. Yeah. This town, how much they love the 12s. The 12s. I mean, that in itself, a brand, has been pretty special.
And how much all of it has changed. The city, the makeup of the community, certainly the team, that changes every year. Yeah. The organization, the ownership, the management group that runs this place, the ideas of, what pro football kind of is anymore and how to play the game and how to coach it and the philosophies. All of that has, over 50 seasons, you would expect a lot of change, and certainly we've seen that. But the one thing that has really stayed the same that I remember, and we've got lots to talk about, but just as sort of the overarching umbrella here, sort of like that Kingdome umbrella that used to, that concrete lid that stood over us for all of our playing days, is the fact that being here in the Northwest and playing in front of who were then called Seahawks fans, who are now the 12s, that part hasn't changed. That part's been great.
Yeah, it really starts with a great foundation. Yeah. That goes back to the Nordstroms, and John Nordstrom, and you know all of them better than I. But I was really a part when John was the main focus for the Nordstroms, and that foundation. We got a little sideways there for about 10 years. And then with Paul Allen, which we're going to talk about too, to continue on that foundation. Yep. And, this started early, man. We're talking about the 12s, retiring that jersey number back in the early 80s and what they did. Todd Lewicki, I was listening to him this week, what he did with that, just, again, keep bringing the brand. And, you know it, Steve. We go out there. We talk with the 12s. Yep. I mean, they're passionate. I mean, it is, as they say, they come to work every Sunday.
They really do. I remember before we called them the 12s, they were just Seahawks fans. And what was so interesting was we'd pull into the parking lot, the south parking lot at the Kingdome, when it was time to come play a game. And all of us players would pull in about the same time. We'd all leave the hotel on the east side and drive in, and Sam Adkins and I would pull in together, and Zorn and Largent would pull in. We'd all park in this area. The area we parked in was where the fans parked.
Yeah.
So we'd get out of our cars, and the fans would be piling into the Kingdome, and we'd be talking to them as we walk up, and we'd go in our entrance into the locker room, and they'd go to the lone escalator at the Kingdome and head to their seats. And it was that kind of relationship. And, Zorn and Largent in that little yellow Beetle.
I was going to say, how times have changed.
Exactly right. So that relationship was built even then. And to have a guy like Mike McCormick, who came in here as the president of the organization and actually coached the last few games of the 1982 season after Jack Patero was relieved of his duties, to come in here and to lead this team. And if you talk to any of the players, they all wanted Mike to stay on as head coach.
I bet.
Mike didn't want to do that. He wanted to be in the front office. But as that guy, then as the president and general manager of the team, he understood how important this relationship with the fans was. And that's where this whole 12th man originated. And so when it came time in, 84, at the end of that season, to acknowledge those fans, and Mike, they made that ceremony of retiring the 12 jersey, to which Sam Adkins, our good friend, the only player ever to wear the number 12, always says, look, my jersey's up there in the rafters. Yeah, right, Sam. But he was the only player to ever wear that, and it was placed up there in honor of the 12s. And no more fitting benefit, no more fitting award could you give to these fans?
No, it's special. And by the way, I wore 21, but in the mirror, it says 12.
Is that right?
So I'm hung up on the rafters in a mirror. I'll date you a little bit.
Okay.
It's funny because we talked about that with Dave Wyman. You know, we parked where the fans were, and we would tailgate with them afterwards and let the crowd go out. And you said you guys would drive from the hotel. I would say it was a motel back then.
Well, it was.
But
Yes,
do you remember? Because that just in itself, you know, the drive from the east side, usually it was Bellevue. I remember when we got upgraded, finally went to the Red Line, the Bellevue Red Line right off of 405. And then ultimately the Hyatt was built. And that was like, oh my goodness. But you guys did, I think, start like at Bellevue Hotel or
it was
motel?
the Issaquah Holiday Inn.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was the Issaquah Holiday Inn. But you know, in those days too, it's not like you needed a massive space with huge meeting rooms and all that kind of stuff. We ate our meals together. Nobody got per diems. So we'd get there for a Sunday game. We'd get there on a Saturday evening, and we'd all eat dinner together in one of the meeting rooms there. And it was always the same meal. It was either fish or steak. That was all the choices you had. And then you'd get up in the morning, and you'd have steak again with scrambled eggs. And, of course, that steak is with you till the following Wednesday. It's the last thing you need when you're getting ready for a game. And then we'd leave from there. Once we were there for dinner, that was it. We'd have a meeting in the evening. Nobody leaves. But there were no security personnel at the time.
Exactly.
But you just go to your room and you watch TV or something and you try to get a good night's sleep. And we did have projectors set up in various smaller meeting rooms, and receivers and quarterbacks would meet together. And the offense would meet as a group, and then special teams. So all those things that I was on, I remember. And then we drive in the morning. And Jack Patera, our head coach, never wanted us to be there early. Unless you had special taping, you didn't get there early, which meant like a knee or your ankles had to get special taping or shoulders, whatever. Otherwise, you don't get there till such and such a time, because I don't want you sitting around the locker room waiting. I want you to get there, get dressed. We'll go out to warm up. We'll come back in. Now we're ready to go.
Funny how coaches have their programs.
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't Chuck. You know, he was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But what I remember about the hotels were, as you said, we didn't have security. So there were a lot of 12s, particularly on the road, too. The 12s have traveled since, you know, my first year.
Yeah.
They still travel unbelievably. But, you know, they were there. I mean, they were in the lobby. You know, they were nice. And so, look, that connection from the players started back when this franchise first started.
Yeah.
It went certainly through the 80s and to what it is today.
Right.
And it is unique. There's a few of them out there in the NFL that probably, I don't want to say we're better or we're, but there is no better fan base than the 12s.
No. Do you remember? Sure you do. Even though you took
I still remember.
You took a number of shots to the noggin like we all did, but I remember the games in the Kingdome. First of all, it was just stunning to walk into the Kingdome. We walked in 76 for our rookie orientation after the draft. It would have been May of 76. The bathrooms weren't even finished yet in the locker room. So they put us at the Four Seasons. You know, I had never been in a hotel that nice before. It was amazing. And then they bus us over to the stadium, and we had workouts on Saturday and Sunday, I guess, or Friday and Saturday, and then we flew out on Sunday. But just to walk in and look up at this huge concrete roof. I also played in one of the first football games at the Superdome in New Orleans. We played Tulane when I was at Georgia Tech. So all of a sudden, in my very short time playing football, I'm in two of these spectacular buildings. And, you know, I kind of thought, wow, this is something that's going to be here for a long time. Well, 25 years was a long time in the NFL, I guess. But the noise in the Kingdome from the fans, later the 12th man, and then later just the 12s, the league tried to outlaw it. They tried to penalize home teams for the noise. And I remember those games. I remember specifically playing the Raiders and Mark Wilson going up under center and the fans going absolutely crazy. And he'd keep stepping away, and it just got louder. I mean, it was an incredible, incredible show by the 12s. And from that day, from those early days, that's what we have today, to the loudest, basically, outdoor stadium in the league.
Well, and we did break a Guinness World Record, back in 2013 at 136.6 dBA, which is now Lumen Field.
Right.
I would like to have known what the Kingdome was. And I know they did some noise meters, but I don't think they had quite the technology or whatever it was that they do today. I don't know if it was louder, but it hurt more. Yeah. It was a piercing, weird noise. And, the 12s, again, they come to work on Sunday. And whether that was partially artificial because of all the concrete, concrete in a potential earthquake zone. Good thinking. We're at Lumen Field, same thing. Whatever. To me, it's still the 12s.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, I've just never seen anything like it. Yeah. I know there's some other like Pittsburgh and Green Bay. They got their following. But, man, there's no one consistently loud. And here, Kansas City tries to say it.
That's what I was going to say.
But I remember in the 80s when I could hear somebody across the field because there's 10,000 people, and they go, Moyer, you. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I can literally hear that.
Yeah.
That's never been the case with the 12s. Even when they've had some tough years in the 90s, they still showed up and they were still loud.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We went as a team, but the fans had to as well, from the Kingdome to Husky Stadium. So you resettle there for a couple of seasons. Yeah. Then you come back to the new stadium, which was Seahawks Stadium and eventually Lumen Field. So you're asking a lot of your fans, and you're right, there was a period of time in there where the team was kind of lagging a little bit, and I think part of this was Husky Stadium is not an easy place to get in and out of either, but a great location right on the lake. But again, Mott Lake fills up pretty quickly when you're putting 65,000 people in it.
We were there twice too. Remember, we were there. Remember when the tiles fell?
Well, that's right.
That was 1994.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, when they imploded it and built what is today Lumen Field, twice. I never liked it there. I was coaching in '94, even though we actually started off 3-1 at Husky Stadium. It was good. There was just something about it. It just, I don't know. It just didn't feel the same. Yeah. So it was nice for the Seahawks to get back to the Kingdome. Now Lumen Field.
Yeah. It was interesting for me because I was at the stadium at the Kingdome, obviously the very first year from that rookie orientation. I remember it would have been the 1976 highlight film. In those days, the NFL Films used to put out a highlight film, a half-hour film of the team's season. So we were 2-12 that year, the very first year. And you'd have thought we won the Super Bowl by listening to John Facenda talking about all the great players, right? So the very first home game of the 76 season was against the St. Louis Cardinals. And I started that game, and I was in one of those shots where we run out onto the field and as you're being introduced. And it was just such an amazing feeling. At Georgia Tech and when you were at Arizona State, we'd run out on the field and it was great. And the fans, at Tech, the tradition was to run out behind the Rambling Wreck as it drives out onto the field. It was really cool. But it was just something about running out for your very first professional football game. Yeah. That counted. And as a starter, which didn't last long, actually, after Largent finally got his feet underneath him. But to those fans, and to know that the stadium sold out, I think within less than 24 hours, something like that. And they had to hold some back just to have some game day tickets. Yeah. And then those were gone obviously before.
Wasn't there it was either a 30,000 seat wait limit or 30-year wait limit?
It was 1,000 at one point. Yeah, there was up in the tens of thousands wait list to get tickets.
So, and one thing that I think the Seahawks did a great job early on, and still today, is they didn't make this just about Seattle. Right. They made it about Eastern Washington, where we would go east of the mountains over at Eastern Washington University in Cheney, Not a lot of ways to get in trouble there, though we did try. But I also remember we would do, you think of the community outreach that they've done over the years, which they've had some incredible people from Sandy Gregory and the whole staff they have now is amazing. That's another thing, keeping continuity. But we used to go travel for these basketball games from up in Alaska to over Vancouver, BC, Portland, Eastern Washington. We would do a road show for like a 2-week road show and take a basketball team and go play. And so again, they built this love affair together, and it's been going on a 50-year marriage between the Seahawks and the 12s.
Isn't that amazing? The 50th season.
You started it.
I still don't look at me like I'm that old, but I would like to say I started here when I was 7, but I didn't. I was like 22 or something, but this will be the 50th season, and it's just an unbelievable thought. And there were a lot of fans. I talk to fans when I see them at the stadium for our pregame conversation that we have down in the X Hall, and people will come up and say, I was here when you were playing, and I said, no, you weren't, and he or she would say, yes, I was. I'd come with my dad or my granddad, and it's an amazing, you're right, that love affair with the organization. By the way, folks, this NFL season, feel every play, every hit, every moment with the Sony 1000 XM5 noise-canceling headphones, the official headphones of the Seattle Seahawks. With premium noise cancellation, you're in the zone. No distractions, just pure football. Whether you're in your living room or on the go, you'll never miss a beat with Sony headphones.
Steve, do you remember when they actually retired the 12 jersey?
Sure.
I mean, it was 1984. I don't know why I don't remember it as well. That was a kind of a magical season anyways. We were a Super Bowl contending team, lost Kurt Warner first game of the year, ended up starting off 12-2. We actually did play 16 games, not 14, when you guys went 2-12.
12.
So I don't remember it that much.
Yeah.
Where I really remember it kicking off is in the early 2000s when I believe it was Todd Lywicki, and he said, hey, we're going to start having the 12th man or 12th person or 12s raise the flag.
Right.
And I remember doing it in 2005.
Yep.
And it was a beautiful day. God, I mean, it was a perfect day. We were playing Chicago. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. It was just so beautiful. I didn't understand yet what that meant. And I remember going up there and, the crowd is sold out and they're cheering and we're getting them all fired up. And to what that is taken off to now, I mean, pretty remarkable.
Oh, amazing. I too, very early on, that first year that Todd said, we're going to honor the fans every game prior to the opening kickoff by raising the 12's flag. And I think they just weren't able to get who they wanted to get, so they had Warren Moon and me.
I do remember
go up
that.
there.
I remember that.
But early on, and it's just it's amazing. First of all, the perspective from up there on that kind of hawk's nest, which actually the hawk's nest is in the north end zone, but that perch up there where they raise the flag is such a different perspective than we get from our position on the 50-yard line overlooking the field where we do the broadcast from. And it's just amazing. And the fans, I mean, they rise as one. And it's been some emotional moments,
Very
too,
much.
when that 12 flag goes up. I remember after Paul Allen died, that was about as emotional a day as I can remember. And the 12 flag was raised in his honor. And,
well, while we're on that, I would say the loudest 12 flag raised moment was, I think, when we played the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. I think Paul Allen raised the flag. It was one of those.
Yes.
And, man, this place was electric. It might have been actually even before the first time we went to the Super Bowl. It was one of those.
Both times.
Both
NFC Championship games.
Yeah, so he was pretty good luck. So one against Carolina, won that. One against 49ers, won that one. And obviously should have been a 3-time Super Bowl champ.
Right, but it was as much a thank you.
Yes,
to Paul.
The fans. I think thank you.
Yep. I know we have talked about it, and we will talk about it more, obviously, as we do more of the podcasts in this 50th season edition. But the fact that he saved this franchise again, part of this franchise was on the move in '96 on its way to California.
Yeah, crazy.
Under a previous ownership, and only the NFL and local officials who were already drawing up the papers to file this huge lawsuit to make sure the team couldn't leave because the team had a lease for the Kingdome. And, Ken Behring couldn't get what he wanted out of the city and the county to either make improvements or build a new stadium. And Paul reluctantly stepped in, but he also wanted the buy-in from the rest of the fans and said this is going to be a joint venture between the fans, the 12s. Here we are again with the 12s, and I'll do my part if you'll do your part. And here we've gone to, since his ownership, we've been to 3 Super Bowls and won one.
Pretty good. Hired some great head coaches.
Oh yeah.
It really was a partnership because it was I'm not going to buy this unless they do a new stadium, and it went to a vote. So It was a complete statewide vote on that,
and it was a little tough on the east side.
Oh, absolutely.
No, they couldn't come over most of them didn't come over every week.
What an investment, though.
Oh, I know.
I mean, the stadium, which again is so unique, it's going to stand the test of time for the amount that they end up building it for. It was a good investment.
Well, and you look around, we're there every week, and every season there's something different. There's a new kind of way to give the fans more of what they want, which is a little bit of luxury, a little bit of this, a little bit of access. The sideline seats, the end zone seats, the clubs now that you can go to inside. They're the one just outside the locker room that
they did a nice job of that.
Past that. A lot of stadiums now in the league have that, where the team comes out and there's people behind glass. You think you're in an aquarium. There are fans behind glass. Here, you're just behind like a railing at Lumen Field. And so the fans are right there, and these players, a big guy at 6'6", 320, without equipment is big. When you put gear on some of these offensive and defensive linemen, they come walking by the fans, and it's amazing. And the looks on their faces that they can get that close and be a part of this is just remarkable. And that's why, Lumen Field, I remember the game I really remember as being loud, and all of them are loud, but the NFC Championship game against the Packers, because we played so poorly in the first half.
Oh, it was terrible.
We were, the Super Bowl defending champs, and Green Bay jumps out to a big lead, Aaron Rodgers and company. And it took us an amazing second half comeback, and then some of the craziest plays I've ever seen, including a 2-point conversion to Luke Wilson from Russell Wilson, that he spun around twice and then just threw it up for grabs, and Luke makes the catch. Then Green Bay ties it up, and so we go to overtime. We get an onside kick in the middle of that, and the first play or second play, the deep pass to Jermaine Kearse.
Yeah.
Jermaine Kearse. And I even with the headsets on and I'm calling it, I can't hear myself even think. It was so loud in there.
I have a video of that. I got nervous, so I walked out to the stands and I was videotaped from the end zone. I'd gone up another level, and it is so loud. To me, the loudest. Look, when we were in the Kingdome, I think it was 1986 Monday Night Football. We beat the Raiders, and it was a Raider buster. In my memory, that was the loudest game from start to finish.
Yeah.
I can remember. And again, the Kingdome had a different loudness to it.
Yeah.
Lumen Field, you go in there, I can kind of have a long conversation, but it's a pump you up loud.
Right.
The Kingdome, it pumped you up, but it was like, man, I cannot hear you. And this hurts.
Painful,
it's so loud. But the game I remember, there's a couple of them. That Green Bay at the end exploded. It was crazy. 49er game the year before.
Yep.
There was some nervous energy there. We knew that was going to be a tough game, so there was nervous energy in the crowd. When we played Carolina in 2005, that place was electric because I think we all knew we were going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We knew we were better than them.
Yes.
And we blew them out. So we had a chance to really I'm kind of getting goosebumps on it. We had a chance to celebrate that, and we're going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously 2013 and 14 were magical as well. But those are the three games that I just go unbelievably loud.
You talk about how loud the 12s can be. How about at the Meadowlands for the Super Bowl?
Crazy.
and I know because I said it several times during the course of the game, it sounds like a home game here for the Seahawks. It was the very first play for Denver with the snap going over Peyton Manning's head and, out of the end zone, safety, Seahawks on the board 2-0. And you look around and you think, my gosh, are we at Lumen Field?
Yeah,
I mean, it was just amazing. And that's why there's a flag that flies at the top of the south end of Lumen Field in honor of the 12s. And Sam Adkins, in honor of you as well, but mostly because of all those fans. And think about the generations of fans who have been here.
Keep coming.
Yep. And that Mike McCormick had the foresight to see that 12 meant something to these fans. And so he initially said, we're going to put this up in honor of the fans. We're going to retire that number, and nobody else is ever going to wear it. And then Todd Lewicki, and we see what an unbelievable job he's done developing the Kraken into, one of the best teams, a great team in the NHL, although they're not in the playoffs this year. I'm sorry about that, guys. But he is such a visionary when it comes to sports and fans and communities and all the rest. But there are not a lot of teams, I'm telling you, that have honored their fans the way the Seahawks have. And so this 50th anniversary edition really, while we'll talk about the franchise a lot, we're going to be talking equally about the fans.
Yeah, I'll close. My part is it's also become a global brand. When we went to Germany and when we went to London, and in London, I couldn't believe how many fans there were. There were 12s, and so that flag, that 12, they bring it with them. And just reading some things, you go look at where the Seahawkers are. From Canada to Australia to Germany, it's a complete global brand that they've built.
Yeah,
and you've been a part of that 50 years. Congratulations.
Thank you. I feel so old when you say it that way. Broadcasting from the Seahawks podcast studio, presented by Sony, an official partner of the Seattle Seahawks. We have lots of other topics we're going to discuss in later podcasts, but all associated with this 50th season of Seahawks football. Great memories, and again, those memories start with the 12s. And as a part of those memories for so many of those years, my partner, both kind of on the field, if you will, but certainly off the field in the broadcast booth, and just being a great pal and great guy all these years together with Paul Moyer. We appreciate all of you guys joining us out there as well. Be well, and we will see you next time on Seahawks Stories.